Welcome everyone to PackView's Cyber 5 performance webinar. We'll talk about the results from everyone's favorite shopping week, Turkey 5, Cyber 5, whatever you call it, and specifically kind of taking a look at Black Friday and Cyber Monday this year and what the trends were. Just as a reminder, this will be recorded and sent out after. And if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the Q&A box, and we'll leave some time at the end to kind of chat through some of those. But to do some intros, I'm Claire Hogan. I'm a senior account manager here at PackView on our strategic consulting team. And I'm joined by my teammate, Jocelyn, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, I'm also another senior account manager on our strategic consulting team. We're happy to talk about Black Friday, Cyber 5 today.
So quick preview of what we're going to talk through. We'll kind of take a bird's eye view of Cyber Week and some of the overall trends there, and then kind of dive deep into the nitty gritty, the performance trends of Cyber 5, CPCs, ROAS, etc., some of the key takeaways, and then we'll leave some time to answer your questions at the end. And if this is your first PackView webinar, PackView is the leading enterprise platform for brands, sellers, and agencies looking to manage e-commerce advertising across 30 plus retailers. So really bringing that holistic performance all in one place, making everyone's lives easier and more efficient. So we'll kind of go through some of the data that we've provided here today, but I'm excited to have you if this is your first time. So the Cyber 5 recap, kind of the nitty gritty high level, is taking a look at who was shopping. Some astounding numbers here. Almost 197 million Americans shopped in store and online during the Cyber 5 weekend, which is about 60% of the US population, which is crazy. So definitely a great time for brands and advertisers to be present, as everyone, or 2/3 of the country, is browsing, looking to buy. So that's crazy. Definitely probably the peak shopping period of the year. And I know it seems, economic fluctuations, budgets seem to be a little bit tighter, but on average, consumers spent about $325 during the Cyber weekend, which is up from $300 last year. And I think based on some of the consumer trends we'll see later in the deck, people were very focused on getting the best deal and shopping while there were prime deals. So definitely a great time to buy. And altogether, if you put all of those people who were shopping and purchasing, consumers spent $35 billion, which is insane, which is up 4% year over year. So although the economy is down a little bit, inflation, people are still spending more than last year, which is great to see for retailers and brands, and definitely peak time to flight budgets in the future and make sure you're taking advantage of all of the shopping traffic. Any other trends, Jocelyn, that you've seen that you want to touch on?
Yeah, one of the big things that we did notice this year is the buy now, pay later option. It did increase 85% this year, and buy now, pay later revenue increased 88% compared to the week prior. So a lot more people are trying to make the purchase now and then extend that payment throughout the coming weeks, the coming months. As we've talked about, inflation high, budgets are a little tighter as far as from advertisers, but also from households. So the buy now, pay later option definitely increased. It was pretty high during the peak of COVID, but continues to be a factor throughout the rest of the shopping period this year as well.
Yeah, and Amazon had that spin the wheel to win up to $500, which I wasn't lucky, didn't win anything. Did you get anything from that?
No, I did not win.
Trying to encourage more shopping for sure.
Awesome. So we'll dive into Amazon specifically. So how did Amazon ad performance compare to the previous years? In general, Black Friday and Cyber Monday advertising was much more efficient and cost brands significantly less this year per click for sponsored products and sponsored brands. With Prime Day 2022 pulled into Q3 this year, as well as an additional tentpole event, Amazon's Prime Early Access event in October, it really did pull some of the demand earlier into the season. So the landscape heading into Cyber 5 2022 was once again a little bit different than it has been in the previous years, with deals starting long before the actual tentpole event and continuing throughout December as well. So breaking a trend from the past couple of years where advertisers really had to increase spend year over year for both sponsored products and sponsored brands on Black Friday. This year, advertisers spent more on ads leading up to and throughout the event of Cyber 5, but Black Friday did decrease year over year, saw a slight decrease in spend. Sponsored product ad spend surged about 13% on Cyber Monday, while sponsored brand ads only increased by about 0.7% year over year on Cyber Monday. CPCs decreased significantly for both ad types leading into Black Friday and all throughout the Cyber 5 weekend. And really a big takeaway here is global supply chain disruptions that we've seen in the past couple of years, which has led to limited inventory, kind of eased up in the months heading into Cyber 5. And now we're in the position where brands have maybe excess inventory. So deals were pretty steep this year and continued really throughout the lead-in period as well as the lead out. And like I mentioned before, they're going to continue throughout December. So we're really kind of stretching the demand outside of those 5 days, with the lead-in period being more important and the lead out period also being more critical. So average daily advertising spend on Amazon did increase 128% week over week on Black Friday for sponsored products. The Cyber Monday period saw a pretty dramatic increase year over year. It was a 13% increase in sponsored product ad spend. Sponsored brand ads followed the same trend as sponsored products, with a 5% decrease year over year on Black Friday and just a 0.7% increase on Cyber Monday. So some of the takeaways we've seen and what we've heard from brands was a little bit of caution heading into Cyber 5. There were, the October Prime event as well. So how do you budget for a second major tentpole event? So a lot of brands were a little cautious heading into Black Friday and maybe had some extra budget that they could push and spend on Cyber Monday to close out the 5-day event. So Cyber Monday really saw some significant increases year over year in how brands were spending. Both sponsored product and sponsored brand ad spends showed aggressive spending leading into the holiday, as I've mentioned, as well as the events leading out of the holiday. CPCs for Cyber 5 dropped significantly from 2021 to 2022. Sponsored products and sponsored brands saw those decreases throughout the entire lead-in event itself and lead out. Sponsored brand CPCs rose just 5% week over week and actually declined 8% year over year on Black Friday in 2022. Cyber Monday CPCs for sponsored brands ads rose 11% week over week and were actually down 2% year over year as well. Sponsored product ads saw the largest decline. We saw a 14% decrease in CPCs on Black Friday this year and a 16% decrease in Cyber Monday year over year as well. With those decreases in CPCs, we also saw a lot of people had some significant improvements in return year over year. Advertisers typically see increases as far as week over week return because conversion rates are higher, obviously during the Cyber 5 event itself. But sponsored product return increased 47% week over week on Black Friday, and it increased 6% week over week on Cyber Monday. So compared to last year, sponsored product ads on Black Friday saw a 47% higher return. And on Cyber Monday, it was about a 9% higher return year over year. We'll talk about this in the Q&A. I know the possible reporting issue on Black Friday is possibly a factor in the CPCs and therefore return. And we'll address that later in the webinar, but significant improvement in return across the board, across ad types. Sponsor brand return increased on Thanksgiving and Black Friday before decreasing a little bit throughout the rest of the event and peaking back up on Cyber Monday. But overall, that represented a 29% increase for Black Friday and a 8% increase for Cyber Monday. As far as conversion rates, sponsored product conversion rate reached 21.6% on Black Friday and 18.15% on Cyber Monday. This increased a 4% increase in conversion rates for Black Friday and a 14% decrease in Cyber Monday. So while we were spending a little bit more on Cyber Monday, the conversion rate definitely did decrease year over year on that end. And then the sponsor brand conversion rate reached 20.6% on Black Friday and 19.7% on Cyber Monday. So this represented a 6% decrease on Black Friday and a 16% decrease on Cyber Monday. So sponsor brand is really the area where conversion rates did decrease as people were a little bit more focused on sponsor products this year. And finally, as far as sales, like we said before, the lead-in period was pretty crucial, as typically conversion rates are a little bit lower as people are waiting to pull the trigger, but sales were actually still very strong in the lead-in, dropped off a little bit on the lead-out. But average daily sales from sponsored brands outperformed the data for Cyber 5 weekend compared to 2021, but the underperformed the days leading out of the event. Sales increased by 26% year over year on Thanksgiving and 22.6% on Black Friday, and about 9% on Cyber Monday as well. We'll jump to some category trends. So the three main categories that we're going to be talking about are electronics, home and kitchen, and sports and outdoors. So the electronic category was a spot where CPCs did increase actually pretty significantly. We saw a 12.5% increase in CPCs in electronics compared to 2021. Home and kitchen saw a significant decline. So CPCs were down 33% year over year. Sports and outdoors was roughly in the middle there. CPCs only decreased by about 2%. As far as return, that definitely had an impact on the ROAS. Electronics category saw a significant decline in return year over year. It was down 24%. We saw an average return of 16.11 in 2021, and it was down to about 12.3 in 2022. Meanwhile, home and kitchen saw a significant increase. Return was up about 110%, from $4.99 in 2021 to $10.47 in 2022. Again, sports and outdoors really being kind of the middle ground here. It increased moderately by about 38% year over year. And then finally, conversion rate, similar trends as the previous two slides. Really, this is where we see some of those macroeconomic trends come into play. Electronics are a bit more of an expensive purchase. Home and kitchen is a necessity. Sports and outdoors can kind of land somewhere in the middle there. So this is, while overall CPCs declined when we're looking at everything in aggregate, there are parts, depending on what category you're selling in, where you did see some increases or you did see some significant improvements. So overall trends, significant decreases in CPCs and improvements in return on investment, but by categories, there's definitely some holes in there as well.
Okay, getting into Walmart, which this is the first time we've included Walmart in this Cyber 5 kind of recap. So exciting to kind of have some results to take a look year over year and also like give you a general idea of the different trends compared to Amazon. So from looking at spend, we did see a decent amount of week over week spend increases, which is no surprise. And Walmart was a little bit different where they kind of had an extended Black Friday event with deals coming out every Monday in November, leading into the biggest event. So it's pretty significant that we still saw such great week over week growth. People were still waiting for that prime actual Cyber Week Black Friday event to really do a lot of their shopping. Year over year, we saw great growth as well for Black Friday, not as much as Cyber Monday. What we've kind of seen trends wise with Walmart is that people really hone in on the first few days of the deals, whether it's deals days in October or Cyber Week. And then we see some of that purchase behavior start to drop off, some of that shopping behavior drop off. We've seen similar trends across tentpole events. So great growth year over year. Week over week, we saw 160% growth. So it's great to see, even though we've spread those deals across the month, that we're seeing great growth with Black Friday and Cyber Monday. From a CPC perspective, no surprise that year over year, we have 20% improvements across Black Friday and Cyber Monday. This is the first Cyber Week where we've had second price auction. So huge improvements in efficiency throughout the year and especially during this time period. So that kind of attributes to the spend. Everyone's dollars are going a lot farther this year than they were last year, driving great growth, great opportunities to drive growth. We did see week over week, those CPCs increase about 10%, which when you look in comparison to Amazon, they had 30% growth. So some of the competitiveness was probably spread across the month, knowing that there were deals throughout the month of November, but a little less of an aggressive CPC increase on Walmart. There's also a lot less competitors on Walmart and a lot stricter taxonomy, so you have to be more relevant to play. But overall, great improvements year over year, but still about $1 cheaper than Amazon from a CPC. So definitely a great place to play during the Cyber Week. Taking a look at return. So with those improved CPCs year over year, we expect to see improvements in return as well. So no surprise there. Week over week, also no surprise, we typically expect when there's more deals and more shopping behavior, more people are more likely to purchase. So we saw return improve 6% week over week, despite those 10% increases in CPC, and great return improvement, 18% year over year for Black Friday. A little bit less for Cyber Monday, as we did see that purchase behavior and shopping behavior drop off a little bit more after Black Friday, but still great to see some improvements there and those dollars going farther. And most importantly, sales. Efficiency is great, but are you growing your business year over year? Which is great to see. So with the increase in ad spend week over week, we did see sales growth across the board during the Cyber Week period, spiking on Black Friday and still a great spike on Cyber Monday as well. And that's 30% sales growth year over year, which is awesome numbers for brands and advertisers to see, really making those dollars efficient and driving growth for brands at the end of the year. We did see a decline on Cyber Monday as that purchase behavior kind of declined. So I think kind of the biggest learning with Walmart is to really focus dollars around that Black Friday and those initial deals days, and maybe focusing on being a little bit more efficient towards the Cyber Monday period, where we know people are a little less likely to purchase. So we kind of have an idea of how this year performed, capping out kind of the biggest sales period of the year. Obviously some great trends, people are a little bit tighter on budget, but still able to really grow. We're still seeing great shopping behavior within the US. So what does next year and future forward looking like? I think it's no surprise that retail media will be the biggest growth driver in 2023. Kind of looking at the biggest advertisers, Amazon's growth is projected to be more than Meta and Google's combined. So definitely here to watch. But I think some of the biggest percent growth that we'll see is across Walmart and Instacart. So definitely keep that in mind as you're projecting budgets and recommending budgets for 2023. We may see more competitors in that space. We definitely continue to see that online presence grow. Kind of another big trend is video. Long form advertising video grew 22% this year and is expected to grow another 33% in 2023, reaching over 6.3 billion in sales, which is awesome. I think we've seen some data, especially with Amazon Marketing Cloud, has really opened up some full funnel measurement, which is a lot of times shown that when video is included in the consumer journey, it's some of the highest conversion rates. So I definitely see as we can measure that a bit more, we'll see that continue to grow even more the next few years. And we've all become very accustomed to deals and getting the best deals throughout the year with different Prime Days, Deals Days, expanded Black Friday, which is a month long for Walmart these days. So everyone's very focused, especially with tighter wallets, getting the best deal. So I think we're going to continue to see a lot of cart squatting. So people, clicking, putting it in the cart, but then kind of waiting to see win the best prices, if it goes on sale even more, things like that in the coming years as we continue to expand the sales and deals throughout the year. So I think that'll be a thing to watch, kind of like how conversion rates fluctuate. And I think it's super important to make sure you're flighting your budget according to when we see that high seasonality, when consumers are focusing their shopping, to make sure you can capitalize on that in the future. So that's all we had from a content perspective. We can kind of kick off the Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I know we got a few before, so we can touch on those as well. I think the first question we had gotten was on the Amazon ads Black Friday glitch, validating that and how it affected my account. So if you haven't heard, Amazon reporting for Black Friday spend didn't come through correctly on Black Friday, but a few days later, I think Monday or Tuesday, the spend was actualized correctly. So that spend that you saw on Black Friday for your Amazon campaigns probably differed when you checked a few days later. So I would just double check that you have the correct numbers there. And if you have any concerns around that, reach out to your Amazon rep. It is reporting correctly through PackView and should match what's coming through the Amazon UI. How low price items, if you have, i.e. a small $9 priced item, how do you advertise that? And what should the strategy be for low price items? Jocelyn, do you have a first take on that?
Yeah, I mean, the ASP, average selling price, is going to be important. Selling a $9 product versus selling a $50 product versus a $150 product is very different, and the CPCs are going to be very different. So it's going to be important to, first of all, back out what is actual profitability for that product, and then you can figure out what's the max CPC you're able to pay for that. So target returns and max CPCs are going to be where you can control that. Through PackView, you can use optimization rules to manage that automatically. If you're not using PackView, you can do that manually, but taking into account the selling price and what is the actual profit you're getting from each of those units is going to be how you preserve profitability and ensure that you're bidding a proper amount per product.
Love it. Is there a potential to review a comparison between Amazon and other retailers? So we have Amazon and Walmart included in the CPC report. When you download that, you can kind of take a look at all the different trends and line them up if you would like, but right now it's just Amazon and Walmart. The other question is, Amazon video advertising inventory still limited? Want to take that, Jocelyn?
Yeah, so as far as limitations, they are expanding where it is being displayed. So it can now show on product detail pages. There is the beta where you can show on the top of the search headlines that you have to direct to your store page, which is another kind of interesting beta change to sponsor brands. Sponsor brand video, you can direct to a product detail page, or you can direct to your brand store for sponsor brand video. So they are expanding the actual placements that are available for sponsor brands. So it's not as limited as it used to be, but again, sponsor product really is where ad spend dominates and really where all your sales dominate as well.
One question, do you have health and beauty year-over-year views? I'm not sure. I don't know, Amanda, if you
in
know
the
that
full
one.
report, I believe we do. We have a few more categories than what we presented today. So again, if you download the full report, you'll have additional information around that as well.
Perfect. What was the most surprising trend change from Cyber 5?
Most surprising.
I can give my take. I think mine is somewhat Walmart specific. Because a lot of brands do see really strong Cyber Mondays. So to see such kind of a drop off on Cyber Monday on Walmart, I think is kind of wild and really good learning, especially now that we've seen it now twice with tentpole events. Kind of interesting to see the difference in consumer behavior between Amazon and Walmart. Whereas we see that Walmart consumers really focus on grabbing the best deal now while it still lasts before they miss it. Whereas I think we see a little bit more browsing on Amazon and trying to get the best deals throughout that longer period.
I would say for me, and this is a little bit more Amazon specific, is the level of competitiveness this year. It's going to depend really on your category, but a lot of bigger brands were really in favor of reserving budget and kind of closing out 2022 in a more profitable way or a higher return way. And so it was interesting to see there were some big players that kind of pulled out or were less invested in this event as they have been in the past. So there were a lot of smaller players that probably had really strong Cyber 5 performance this year versus last year. So if you were one of those smaller sellers that had a really strong Cyber 5, it would probably be a good time to capitalize on that and continue that if it's possible on your end through December, as we're kind of closing out this year and possibly inflationary recession talk is very high right now. And so capitalizing if you can through the end of this year and then taking all those learnings into 2023 would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I think typically we can see a very aggressive lead-in period to the cyber period, which was definitely a lot softer this year, where people very much focus their budget on Black Friday and Cyber Monday and less of that lead-in, lead-out period. Any other questions? I see the question around the 404 error. We'll follow up on that. Any other questions on the content or the cyber period? Any questions on how to optimize for that?
We do have one question. We have a couple questions. I'm not quite aware of what kind of data PackView has access to via APIs. I was just wondering if PackView has access to shopping carts of consumers on Amazon on an aggregated basis. If yes, do we know if shoppers are loading up items in their cart? Is PackView able to corroborate this information directly by looking at carts and or aggregate basis? So we don't have if I understand your question correctly, we don't have aggregated data around how many people are adding to their cart and then not purchasing or adding to their cart, or like how long it's in their cart. But through DSP, there is the metric of add to carts, which is the number of times the product is added to a cart. So you can compare that for your own data over time. Is that percentage increasing, and is my purchase rate increasing along at the same rate? Or does that change over time? So you can look at that at your own specific data. The cart squatting kind of phrase we're coining is more of a customer behavior anecdotally from the many brands that we work with, but you can use your own add to cart data to answer that. And then can you please comment on the size of ad spend this year compared to last year? So total ad spend, if we look at, we reviewed it for Walmart, total ad spend for Amazon year over year, sponsored product was down 1.5%. Cyber 5 or Cyber Monday was down about 13, or was up about 13%. Sponsored brand was down 5% for Black Friday, and it was up slightly for Cyber Monday. So the full report is going to have all of the ad spend increases and decreases in aggregate. But we did see overall, again, a strong increase in spend really across the board from Amazon and Walmart.
We have a great question from bystander. What were the most successful PackView features advertisers used for paid search management on Amazon during the Black Friday, Cyber Monday period? I can give my viewpoint and then let you weigh in, Jocelyn. There's two main things that I think are super valuable. Number one, if you're not using the budget module, it'll save you hours of time on a weekly basis, but saves you many hours during tentpole events like Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So there is a calendar you can set up with your budgets so that you can set percentages that you want to spend the budget each day of the month. So if I want to spend 8% of my budget on Black Friday and 10% on Cyber Monday, And then, 5% on the days leading in, 4% on the days leading out. I can set that in advance so that my campaigns will pace a little lighter, and then the budgets will automatically increase X amount on Black Friday and another X amount on Cyber Monday, rather than us having to go in and increase each budget by X amount and then watch budgets all day long and open them up. It takes a lot of the manual work off and allows you to pace to your plan. And the second piece of that is day parting. You can either do the manual day parting or the day parting scheduler, which saves a lot of time if you have very specific chunks that you want to apply to, say, like category campaigns and then brand campaigns, which allows you to be live certain hours of the day, but then also increase bids certain days. So we applied like 20% bid increases during the prime hours of Black Friday, and then same thing Cyber Monday, which allows you to be more competitive. And if you notice you're not competitive enough, you can go in and increase that at a high level. And then once you come down off the cyber period, your bids will go back to normal. So you don't have to worry about those inflated bids during regular traffic days. So those are my two biggest time savers. I'll let you weigh in.
I was going to say same thing. Budget managers is definitely important, really just throughout the entire month as well. If you are underpacing or overpacing, you're able to make adjustments and you're able to really easily keep track of that throughout the month. I would also say just the entire way that he structures our software is the ease of making bulk changes very quickly. So if you were underpacing or overpacing throughout the day and you wanted to make adjustments, it's very easy to do that by campaign, by keyword, by certain times of the day. So no matter how much you prepare, sometimes things can go out the window, especially as we saw on Black Friday with the possible reporting issue. So being able to pivot really quickly and be able to do that efficiently is, I think, one of the big benefits of using a tool like PackView.
Yeah, I think one other thing I thought of is tags. So tags are the basis of a lot of what we do on PackView, and making sure you have your campaign segmented based on priority or budget or brand, etc. What can be really helpful is using tags and tag deal campaigns so that you can budget deal campaigns separately, optimize the day parting for those deal campaigns separately, so that you can ensure that those are the ASINs that are serving at the top of the search with those Black Friday or Cyber Monday badges, which are going to get those higher conversion rates anyway.
And then we answered this one somewhat in the presentation. Are we seeing more consumer traffic during only the first day of the sales, i.e. strictly Black Friday and Cyber Monday, instead of the Saturday and the Sunday in between those days? Or is it more of a strong lead in and low lead out? So Black Friday, Monday, Cyber Monday are obviously the absolute peaks of sales, but Saturday and Sunday are still very strong performing days throughout the kind of middle of the week of the event. This year we did see a decently strong lead in period. I think a lot of brands, we talked about discounts being a little bit steeper this year. A lot of brands were doing kind of lead in promotions, lead in discounts. So there were actually strong conversions in the time period leading into the event itself. Lead out kind of dropped off. I think we saw a little bit more on Walmart than on Amazon, but as we've talked about, the demand itself has kind of been stretched out as those discounts are more stretched out. It's not necessarily as condensed to those specific 5 days as it was before. But again, Black Friday and Cyber Monday do still remain the absolute top sales days.
Any other questions? This is your chance. We have 30 seconds. Any last thoughts? Okay, that seems to be it. Well, you can always feel free to reach out to anyone at PackView if you do have any other questions or need guidance on how to set up things like the budget module or budget manager or day parting or optimization rules, anything like that, which will save you a lot of time, especially around tentpole events like Cyber 5, Prime Day, things like that. But we hope you enjoy the trends and that you're all set up for a successful 2023 and enjoy some time off around the holidays. Thanks for joining.